Guys, welcome back. Out here doing a quick test run with my Axial Ryft crawler, dual motor, dual ESC, rear wheel steer. Just out checking out how this thing works. I did a lot of changes since the last video. I was kind of a little disappointed last time. I just changed too much at once. I changed the wheels and tires. That was a big mistake. Added the rear steer, didn't really compensate for the extra weight in the back. So I had to go and add some extra weight up front. I changed the inserts, a bunch of stuff, got it back to the point where this thing is working extremely well. I am blown away. I came up here to one of my favorite spots, hit all the hardest lines that I normally hit, and this thing killed it. A lot of them just first shot right up, and even finding some new lines that I didn't even think were possible on some of these sections here. It's unbelievable. It's just like complete cheater rig right now. It still needs some tuning. Every once in a while, it rolls back. Drag brake descending is phenomenal. When I'm climbing, I'm getting occasionally a little stall on the rear motor. And then I think that's leading to a little bit of a rollback at times. It's odd. I'm not sure what's causing it, but maybe I need to go in and just kind of set my dual rate a little higher for the rear motor so it has a little less underdrive. I'm not sure. I gotta play around with it, but super impressed with this thing. It did things today I didn't think were possible. So I'm going to show you guys some running video, but let me show you up close what I got going on here. And yeah, enjoy the video. Any questions? Check out my Axial Ryft playlist. I have the initial build on this truck where I did a lot with, I'll show you guys the high clearance links that I installed and the 1/10 RC 3-gear conversion that I'm still using with this new Cobra Crawler dual motor transmission. And then I have some other videos that show the install of this dual motor setup and what I got going on. And then also some videos with programming your controller to operate everything here. So really happy with this thing. Let me show you guys. Back to my tried and true tires that I know do extremely well up here. J-Concept Ruptures. These are the 2.2, the full size, the big guys. 4-wheel steer. I got a Trail mirrored axle housing in the back so that I can keep my drive shafts on the same side without getting a crazy angle. You can see here my 3542 Outrunner motor, and then there's another one hiding up in there. In the front, I got dual, you kind of see them in there, dual CQR 120 amp ESCs. That's the Cobra Crawler transmission. As I mentioned, these high clearance links from Center of Gravity RC. Those help a ton on here. If you're still running like trailing arms on your Ryft and you're using it as a crawler, don't, because you can do things like this, without catching. Trailing arm would be just dragging like crazy. The wheel would be off the ground because of the trailing arm hitting the rock. So that works extremely well. Running this on a 4800 3S, just pushed up to the front there. Can run a bigger pack here. You got to be careful. That motor, I had to clearance the battery tray a teeny bit because the motor would rub it. So now you don't want your battery to slide back that far where the motor's rubbing the battery. That would be bad. Stock shocks. I think I moved the front springs to the rear, and then I'm running, I think, LMT springs up front. A little softer, a little shorter, and I have some stretchy hair bands wrapped around so that it doesn't unload and pull back on climbs. FlySky Noble NB4. This works awesome, man. This is the key to this whole entire setup. There's a lot of stuff going on here. So I got my rear steer on this dial. Tells me when it's centered. I got my front and rear overdrive, so I can just scroll this forward, get a ton of front overdrive, scroll it backwards, I can get rear overdrive. What else we got going on here? These clickers here, that's my front dig. The one on the front is my rear dig. That works incredibly well. I mean, if you've never used an electronic dig with a dual motor, it's completely it's in a completely different league than the mechanical dig you're used to. It's just instantaneous. There's no herky-jerkiness. There's no getting stuck in dig or not engaging properly because it's bound up. It just works flawlessly every time. So super happy with that. Yeah, this thing is a beast, man. I'm not saying it's comp crawler level. It does have a good forward weight bias here. I'll show you real quick. I don't think it's very much, but I have a Trail. I have a Trail brass diff cover up front. I have some brass link mounts, and of course these front wheels weigh a ton. I think they're 15 ounces each wheel, just because of that insert in there, and then these wheels are decently heavy. But yeah, it's not comp crawler level with weight distribution, so you are a little bit limited with that. But what I love about it is this thing descends as well as it climbs. And just for playing on all these rocks here, you know, I love going down as much as I love going up. So this thing is set up really nice, ultra capable, both up and down, just a ton of fun. Of course, I had to change the startup music here. How cool is that, man? I love that. You guys enjoy the crawling footage, and stay tuned for more on this build. I still feel like the ultimate setup for this would be to have dual hobby wing fusions, because it would eliminate any of that stalling issue that I'm having with this motor. I do think I can tune this out a little bit and just make it a little bit stronger. Maybe I need to increase the sine setting in here, especially on the rear motor, but we'll see. But yeah, I feel like dual Fusion Pros in here would be absolutely next level. So we'll see. I have some in some other rigs. Maybe I'll do some swapping and give them a try and see how they work, but I think it would be insane. Okay, on to some running video here. One other thing I love about this truck now is how quiet it is. Of course, the mic does make it sound louder than it is, but this thing is so much quieter than it was in the past. If you've ever run an Outrunner with a Castle ESC, you'll know what I'm talking about. It sounds like a UFO taking off. So this thing is so much quieter now with these Secure ESCs. I really like the sound of it. Just so you hear a little bit of gear noise, you hear a little bit of whirring when you get on the throttle from these Outrunner motors, but it just has a nice sound to it. So I really like quiet crawlers. I don't like anything that's too loud and annoying. I like to be able to hear the tires gripping the rock so you kind of know what's going on. Just testing some of the descending abilities here, starting out with some easier stuff. You can see I'm clicking in and out of front dig here, and it's seamless. It just clicks in and out instantaneously. There's nothing binding, there's nothing getting locked up where you have to give a tiny bit of reverse to unlock it. So that works extremely well. Didn't really play around too much with rear dig, even though I have the options. I'm just not super familiar with it, so it's something that I have to kind of start using more often and just remember that I actually even have. Here you'll see the high clearance rear links helping out big time on that little ledge. Here's some more front dig. You will notice, watch here, when I put it into front dig, you'll see the rear wheels will turn every so often. That's simply because there is no mechanical stop for dig anymore. It's really just the strength of your drag brake on your motor that is stopping the axle. So the stronger your drag brake, the stronger your dig is going to be. I don't mind that they move a little bit, because what I've found, and this kind of makes sense, right? So a rolling wheel will have more traction than a skidding wheel. Once you break traction and your tire skids, you lose all traction, right? It's like sliding in the snow, right? A rolling tire in snow will get more traction than a skidding tire in snow. So this is the same thing on rock. And I found that a little bit of movement on the rear wheels actually works better in dig. And it's something that I could never really experience before, because with a mechanical dig, it's either on or off. There is no in between, but you can go in and set your dig, or what I'm calling dig here. It's really just your dual rate to your motor. It's either cutting power to your motor or giving power to the motor. So you can tune that, and you could have it set to that maybe under dig, you actually still get like 5% of your drive to the motor on either the front or rear. And you can tune them independently, which is also a really cool feature. You will notice a little bit of like shuddering, almost like a little bit of cogging. And I think that's simply due to the fact that I have this thing overgeared a little bit. The Cobra Crawler transmission will accept anything from an 11 to an 18 tooth pinion. I have 15s in here just because I needed 2 of them, and it was the only size, the smallest size I had where I had 2 of them. So I need to go out and pick up, I think I'm gonna drop down to 12. I don't wanna lose a ton of wheel speed because I do like running this on 3S instead of 4. So I think I'm gonna try 12 and see if that helps. I think it's just gonna help all around, make it a little bit smoother of power delivery. It's going to help with a little bit of that stuttering. It should eliminate some of the heat. I think just all around it's going to be better. Should even make the drag brake a little bit stronger. I actually tuned my drag brake down for this run to 60% because once I once I set up the active drag brake feature on these ESCs, I ended up with a really strong drag brake. And I didn't want to go overboard because it just introduces more heat into the motor, so I dropped it to 60. I think I need to go back up to 70. And with the smaller pinions, I think that's going to solve any little bit of issues I have with, especially on the rear. A lot of times climbing something steep, it seemed like the drag brake on the rear motor would sometimes let loose a little bit. And I think if I just bump that up a little bit, smaller pinions, everything should be good. But for the second run out, this thing was so much better than the first run. This here is a pretty difficult line. Four-wheel steer trucks really have a much easier time here. You could see there's a bunch of rocks on the bottom. A bunch of guys come up here and play around. You could tell a lot of people like to stack up cheater rocks here. That's how difficult it is. It doesn't look like much, but there really isn't much more than one line up this thing. You kind of got to get your front wheel into that crack and keep it high up here. So I've played around in this spot for a very long time with other crawlers, and this thing, you'd see there, I think it was third try, and got up that section pretty easily. And then, of course, this is a very steep spot here and pretty much right up. You can see that four-wheel steer really helps out there big time. Speaking of four-wheel steer, how I typically set it up, and you saw earlier on my Fly Sky, I have like the thumb dial where I can just independently control the rear steer. Well, this setup enabled me to also have the ability to use the little clicker switch on my controller where I can go in and out of linked four-wheel drive mode. And what that means is that I just click into it and it will link my front and rear steering together so that they're opposed, and just gives me a super tight turning radius with this truck. And then if I want to use the thumb dial, I can actually use it along with the link thing, but that's kind of screwed. But if I just click out of linked mode, and then I can go into thumb dial. So I have the option to do either or, and I didn't think that was such a big deal. I was like, oh, well, if I can do it, I'll set it up that way. And I ended up using it so much, and I really liked it. The one reason I never used link before is that it screws you up a lot of times. There's a lot of situations where you want to set your rear wheels in one position and leave them there and then have the front move independently. When they're linked, it really starts steering the back of the truck in ways you don't want it to. And then to try to shift through all the different modes, it just never worked for me. I liked having it independent, but man, for connecting sections here, if you're just cruising through the woods or you get to a top of the spot here and you want to do a quick turn, if you just click the linked option, it's amazing, because then it's one less thing to focus on. You could just leave it linked, drive it to the point where it starts to become an issue, unlink it, and then have full control of the rear steer. I think it's by far the best option for rear steer that I have found to date. I just set up this controller on my other rear steer rig just because I like to have this option so much. It worked out so well, especially on a truck this size. That's my one complaint. And it would be the same deal with the Helaman or anything that has a wheelbase and a track width this size. It's really big. The turning radius on these axles, the steering angle is not the greatest. So without rear steer on this, you really suffer a lot. You have to do like 3-4 point turns to try to navigate up an obstacle or to just position it right. And it really just feels like a big, cumbersome, clunky vehicle when you don't have four-wheel steer on this thing. So I think if you're going to do anything to make your Ryft into a crawler, rear steer is a huge benefit. Now, that being said, if you're going to go out and buy axles to do four-wheel steer option, maybe you want to consider the new Helaman axles, because then you're introducing portals and you're introducing the ASD feature onto this truck, which would be totally insane. I don't know. It would be so crazy to have to control this thing. It was hard enough with all of these options, but if you introduced not only your selectable dig and your selectable overdrive, but then also ASD for individual wheels on both axles, it would be nuts. I mean, it would be by far the most capable crawler in terms of features. I'm not saying like comp level geometry or weight distribution, but in terms of features, it would just be complete insanity. And I think it would take a while to get used to it. You see me here just testing out the drag brake, which is very good compared to last time. But yeah, I think if you were going to go out and buy axles, as soon as they're available, they're probably going to sell out quick, because I know a lot of guys want to use them for other builds. But yeah, the new Helaman axles, whatever they're calling the AXP 8s, or I forget what it is, but you might want to consider that. I think they're selling a steering axle for like 130 bucks. I think it's another 80 to add the ASD, which I kind of find like crappy from Axial. Like, if you're going to sell that axle, especially if you're selling it individually and that's your big selling point is the ASD, just include it. You know, bump up the price, maybe make it 150 per axle, but it comes with the ASD. It's crazy to spend $130 on an axle and you still have to spend another 80 for the mechanical internals to make the main feature work right. So I don't agree with that, but anyway, that's it. So I went with a Trail mirrored rear axle. I still want to pick up a Trail front axle. Maybe one day down the road, though, if those Helaman axles prove to be really good, especially if you do the stronger springs on the ASD with a stronger servo, I think they'll work better. Maybe I'll swap them out on here. Who knows? All right, so struggled with this line here last time. Let's see how much better we're doing today. Haven't tried it yet. This will be the first shot. This truck is very wide for this. Very wide. Might have to use some rear steer. Let's try. Dude, first shot, man. Back at the wall. I was able to get it last time after sticking a rock up by the front of the battery for some extra front weight, but it took me like multiple tries. Let's see what happens today. Try to do it without any of the bells and whistles here. No rear steer if I can avoid it. I mean, ruptures are just... No, I'm gonna have to use a little rear steer, I think. Yeah, kind of in a bad spot here. Yeah, I mean, first shot. Ridiculous. Just come down the ridge here. Try leaving the four-wheel steer linked here. See if it helps me out. Not used to driving it like that, but I'm kind of digging it. It's a different truck. It is a completely different truck than the last time I ran this thing. So composed. Let's try going. Swing a U-turn here. Back up the ridge. Try leaving the four-wheel steer linked, which isn't always good, like there. See, I want to go crab walk. Let me disengage that. Crab out a little bit. Oh. Got in a bad spot there. There's one downside with too many controls. Gets a little crazy at times. Try swinging around up here. I've done this once before. Come down. There's a big drop. It's like a 2-footer. Let's see what happens. Last time I had to kind of power out of it. Let's go as far as we can. Slow. Didn't stick the landing, but you know what? That's a rough one. All right, another very tough obstacle here. I think, pretty sure I've done it with this truck.
Center point.
Before I did the dual motor conversion. Let's see. Hung up on my rear axle there, and we're good. All right, let's see. Last time I had to use some dig. Oh, sorry guys, not focusing on the camera here as much as I should be. Does occasionally roll back. I don't know what that's about. Probably a little bit of tuning needed. Hanging up on the axles here. Getting around the front. Wow, just ridiculous. Ridiculous. Let's see how we come down the wall here. Good drag brake test for sure. Show you guys on the side here how steep. So very nice, smooth going down. Yeah, drag brake seems better going forward. Once in a while in reverse, it rolls back a hair. Wow, man, wow. And let me try this again, because moments ago, off camera, I just took a random line here and literally cruised up this thing. You gotta be kidding me. There's crawlers I've taken here that I've spent, I don't know, half an hour trying to get up this. And this thing just waltzed up the hardest side of it like nothing. It's insane. This is stupid, man. Just ruined every other crawler that I have. It shouldn't be possible. Sure. This little section here just really demonstrates how what this truck is really good at, and that's just weaving its way up and down these little kind of climbs and descents, and it just makes it look like nothing. And you know, again, this is a big rig, so these look smaller than they are. Fun line up over this crack here, and then hard off camber right hand turn up, and then there's another crack at the top. So let's see if we can do anything with this. Could not get this at all last outing. Tires were sliding right down the edge here. The rear we're gonna drop in. Yeah, nope. Let's try this again. This truck is super wide, so I'm gonna have to take this up higher and really push the limits on the side hilling abilities here. Let me try it. A little rear steer. we don't slide, oh yeah. No, no. All right, so what is the secret here with this line? Come in super high, turn down. Keep the rear wheels high, maybe. That could work. We got some serious flex going on. Oh, that's the problem. It's rear axle in that hole. All right, this should do it. I think I've learned this line with this truck now. Come in high. Coming in high. Not that high. We're not going to count that reverse. I think the key here, let's get some rear steer going. Hug this. Yeah. All right. We got one more crack. Should be somewhat easy one. Dude, yeah, man, good stuff. Oh no. It's cool seeing this motor inside spin. Ooh, so slow. Of course. There's another, can't see it. There's another one in there somewhere. Such a quiet truck. So I'm so happy I switched back to these ruptures. I'm sick of looking at them. I'm just like, they've turned into the new version of the high racks for me. High racks, yeah, they work great. I'm so tired of looking at them and seeing them on every rig for a long time. I don't run them anymore. These are getting to that point, but they work so damn well. It's hard for me to go out and try something different, but I do want to try something else. I might try the 2.2 landmines on here, or maybe even like a Proline Swamper XL. I just want something a little more scale looking, maybe a little narrower. I wouldn't mind swapping these wheels out and trying to make this truck a little bit narrower overall, just with less negative offset. And I think it would kind of just be a little bit beneficial. So I don't know what I'm going to try yet, but these silicone inserts up front worked extremely well. I was getting a nice amount of tire squish, and with the foams in the back, same deal. It's really a great combination, adds a ton of weight up front, so really happy with this. I did have to add a layer of fridge foam around the silicone inserts just to make them fill out the tire properly. They were a little bit smaller than the tire. And then on the rear, I trimmed the foams down a little bit narrower so the tires didn't bulge out so much on the sidewalls. I'm trying to keep this truck as narrow as possible. It's a super wide truck, and it just really limits where you can go with it. So this ended up being another long video, guys. So if you stuck with me, thank you. Thanks for watching. If you're thinking of building something like this and you have any questions, just hit me up in the comments and I'll get back to you with some answers. Overall, really had a lot of fun with this truck. It definitely needs a little bit more tuning to really be, perfect. But we'll see. Maybe one day I'll try out some fusions. I'm pretty happy with the setup, though. I think it's fairly lightweight, and I like the smaller size of the motors and stuff. So we'll see. I'm going to tune it a little more, see how good I can get it. And, of course, downsize the pinions a bit, and I think it can only get better from here. So, yeah, that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. And, yeah, hit me up with any questions or comments. And, let me know. Are you guys into all of these features on a crawler, or do you like just having something basic? I'm curious to know. I ran my VRD right after, so I'll have a video shortly, and that's super basic. It's basically throttle and steering, and there was something very relaxing about that. After driving this rig with so many functions and features, it was just relaxing to get out and drive a truck that has really great balance, really great control, and is just super basic. So I like having both. It's fun. It's good to have options. So let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you in the next video, guys. Later. Yeah, I don't think I ever went up that before.